Guys, to make this blouse, I'm going to be making use of this African print fabric here. What I have here is about 3 yards, but you can literally use 2 yards for this tutorial. So now I have already drafted out a basic bodice. It's a half scale. It just goes from the shoulder down to the waist. You really don't need to draft out a whole bodice that's going to get to the hip for this particular tutorial, because really you don't need it. This top is not even going to get to the waist area. Okay, so now this is a basic bodice. The neckline is 3 inches width and 3.5 inches deep. Okay, that's the measurement I used for the neckline. Now this is my armhole, right? I am going to go down from the armhole by about 1.5 inch for the length of this blouse. Now I will just come down from the armhole by 1.5 inch here. This is going to be how long this blouse is going to be. Okay, now once you've done this, remember that this is the front pattern we are drafting on. This line here is the chest line, and because this is going to be an open yoke in front, I am going to go up from this chest line by another 1.5 inch, because I don't want it to be too open. But if you want it to be more, you can go up by more inches. Okay, so now I'm going to connect these 2 points I just got with a curve. I'm using my curve rule. You can use your free hand if you do not have anything available to you, but this curve just makes it really easier. I just connected the 2 points, and this is what I have. Okay, this is going to be what the front will look like. Now the back is not going to have this curve. The back has to be straight for it to be able to cover fully. So from the point on the side, I just drew a straight line to the center. Now we're just going to cut this line first. This is the back. This is the back. When I'm done using this pattern to cut out the back, before I will now remove the curve and cut out the front. So this is my fabric folded into 2 for us to be able to cut out the back pattern. Okay, I've drawn a zipper allowance line across, and it's 1.5 inch away from the side of this fabric. Okay, so I'm placing the center of my front pattern paper on this line that I just created. Okay, this is because the back is going to have a zipper, else you will not be able to put on this outfit. Okay, so I'm just going ahead to pin it in place. Now the neckline for the front and the back is also going to be different, so I'll go ahead and just draw out a higher neckline for the back. So on this shoulder point here, I just make a point to know exactly where to start from. So from that point, I came down by 1.5 inch. That's how deep I want the back neckline to be, and I'm just curving it into the center back. So you see it's a round neckline, but it's not as deep as what I have on the front pattern. So once I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and just start cutting it out. I will not cut exactly on the line because I have not added stitching allowance to any of these, whether the pattern paper or anything. So I'm cutting about 1/2 inch away from the shoulder area, and also I did the same thing for the neck. But for my armhole, I do not like to add stitching allowance, so you can see what I did here. For the side, I added about 1 inch, and then for the end, I'm going to add about 1/2 inch of stitching allowance. I'll just go ahead and separate this into 2 to give me the 2 back pieces. So now once you're done cutting out the back, we can now remove this curve. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out, and now I will use this new pattern, which is going to be for the front, to cut out on my actual fabric for the front. You see how when it's open, how it's going to be. So I'm going to use this to cut out the front pattern. So guys, I'm done cutting out the front pattern, and you can see I added stitching allowances to all the parts where it's necessary. I've also gone ahead to cut out lining pieces for both the front and the back pieces. Okay, so now this is what it looks like when I place them together. You see the stitching allowance on this side is exactly the same. Okay, so that when I sew this in, it fits in perfectly. Make sure that the stitching allowances that you are giving on this side is exactly the same. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove my pins from the front pattern, and we are going to go ahead and stitch the actual fabric and the lining together. So you just place them right sides facing each other. You're going to stitch the neckline, you're going to stitch the side and across the curve, the neckline, the side and across the curve. That's for the front pattern. Now for the back patterns, we're also going to place them right sides facing each other. So now you're going to go ahead and stitch the neckline, the center back, the end and then the side. Again, the neckline, the center back, the end and the side. So guys, I am done stitching it down, and this is what the front piece is looking like. And of course these are the two back pieces. Okay, so now we're going to join them on the shoulders, and basically I'm going to be doing this the same way I normally do them. I am just going to use one of the lining pieces to cover up all the other shoulder areas like this. This is the easiest way to go about this, and the result is the neatest. I don't think there's another way you can go about joining your arm, your shoulders that look neater than this particular method. So just use one of the lining to cover every part, and then just go ahead and pin it down, and then stitch it down when you're done. So I'll just stitch it down here and do the same thing for this other side as well. So guys, I am done stitching down the shoulder area, and for the zipper allowance at the back, I've just used pin to hold it down for now. You can see how neat the shoulder looks. Okay, so once you're done, it's going to look like this. Now for the back, I'm going to be fixing a zipper. This zipper I have here, I had to even pull it off from a skirt I already made before, because I didn't have any zipper at home as at the time I was filming this tutorial. So I'll prefer that you have a zipper that actually opens up instead of a skirt zipper. Now for the sleeve, I already drew out a basic sleeve. If you do not know how to draft out a basic sleeve, I already have a video on the channel on how to go about that. Now this is a basic long sleeve, and I'm just going to mark about 1.5 inch points to just separate it. It's nothing special, just separate it at the end, and then use from the point, just draw straight lines all the way to the top, so that you'll be able to cut this out later and spread out the sleeve to give us our flare sleeve. So now once you're done, you can just label your patterns 1, 2 and 3, and I'm going to go ahead and cut on these lines, but I'll leave about 1/2 inch away or 1/4 inch away from the top. I won't be cutting all the way to the top, like I won't be separating these papers. So just go ahead and cut just like you see me doing right now. So guys, this is it. You can see now I can spread out this pattern. I'm going to use it now to cut out on my sleeve. So this is my sleeve. I spread the pattern on my sleeve. My sleeve is folded into 2. Okay, this is the center labeled with 1, then I have 2 and then 3. The distance between each paper that I have here, I spread it out with 4 1.5 inch. So the distance from 1 to 2 is 4.5 inch, and the distance from 2 to 3 is 4.5 inch. Now you can use more inches, it depends on how wide you want your flare to be. And I gave about 1 inch distance away from the pattern paper, just so I'll be able to fold it up. And on the side I gave 1/2 inch, on the top I gave 1/2 inch, so that I'll be able to join the sleeve to the actual bodice. Okay, just give stitching allowances all the way around your pattern paper. Okay, so now this is what one of the sleeve is looking like. You can see how it looks. Like I said, if you want it to be fuller, you can make it more wider. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold this end here. It's about 1/2 inch wide, so just go ahead and fold it all the way to the end, and you will do the same thing for the other sleeve. So guys, after I was done, this is what it looks like. So if you're someone who might want to have like an elastic at the end of your sleeve, you can totally do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be an open flare. I was actually considering placing an elastic on this sleeve, honestly. But anyways, now it's time to join the sleeve with the armhole area of the bodice. Okay, so you're going to pin the center of the sleeve with the joining you have on the armhole, and then you're just going to continue to pin the sleeve on the armhole. So just go ahead and do this, and once you're done, you're going to head over to the sewing machine and stitch it down with about 1/2 inch stitching allowance. So my loves, I'm done stitching it down. It's going to look weird at this end actually, but don't worry, that's what it's supposed to look like. And I've also gone ahead to fix the zipper, like I said I was going to do earlier. But like I said, make sure to use an open zipper and not a skirt zipper. Now we're going to turn the sleeve over, everything over to the wrong side, okay, because we're going to be doing the finishing. Remember, you can make this a puff sleeve if you want to. All you have to do is add an elastic to the end of the sleeve. So now just go ahead and arrange the sleeve and the bodice, and from here you're going to go ahead and stitch it down to the end of the bodice. When you get to the bodice, measure your bust measurements, because you need it to be fitted. So once you've gotten that bust measurement point, go ahead and stitch all the way to the end of the sleeve, and do the same thing for the other side. So after I was done, this is what it looks like, and we are basically done with this blouse. I don't know what to call it, but it's a blouse, it's a yoke, it's anything you want to call it. And this is what the back is looking like. And yeah, that's basically all for the making of this top. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be seeing you guys in my next one. Bye.